Hello, I'm Kads, and welcome to today's video. Once again, the portal is alight, meaning it is time to pull some shards. In this case, we are in pursuit of the most underwhelming fusion, or the second most underwhelming fusion of the year, Brewmaster Jerobum, and we're trying to secure the last of the fragments from the hero's path. As you can see here, we are at 90 out of 100 currently towards his fusion, and the last bit that we need is locked behind the hero's path. Surprisingly enough, I was actually able to make it to 9,000 points, as we can see here, just via a champion training and running Ice Golem over the past couple of days, working on the champion training event, maxing it out to get that legendary tome, and then of course getting the appropriate amount of Ice Golem completed to get the fragments for the fusion from there. And as I talked about in my free-to-play review of this hero's path, you would need a minimum of 7 sacreds to get 10 of the fragments, which is exactly what I need. But since we have 9,000 points, that means we only have to pull 5 sacreds. So we were able to just save 2 sacreds just by taking advantage of the dungeon divers aspect of this hero's path. And that is a brilliant segue to hop over to the portal and take a look at the overall shard count on the account. So we have 717 on the ancients, 230 on the voids, 34 on the primals, and then 61 on the sacreds, which of course we'll be dipping into today. There is also a progressive chance going on right now, and we're going to see if we can try it and get a +4 Fenax today. That's kind of the goal. Mine is currently +2, so we would need 2 copies, which is probably unlikely, but you never know. 5 sacreds, we'll see what happens. And then if we happen to get a legendary, then maybe it'd be nice to get a Wellmaster Atharion. In this case, I actually happen to have every single one of these legendaries, and so my line of thinking here was who would be the most valuable faction guardian. In this case, I chose a high elf because that would put me 8 out of 10 towards, I guess, speed for Arbiter. But I understand that most people would probably want their second or third or fourth or whatever newt, so I can understand that's what most people would pick. But in my case, I'm just looking at it from the sense of faction guardians. As is customary, let's also take a look at my mercy tracker to see where things stand. So we're currently halfway to mercy on the sacreds. We're going to be pulling 5 sacreds once again, so that will put us outside of mercy, so 11 out of 12, meaning that we're most likely not going to see a legendary today, but you never know, anything could happen, but I'm not counting on that being the case. Unfortunately, that kind of leaves me in that bad zone where like I'm close to mercy but not in mercy, which is where I would like to be if there was a sacred pogo coming up soon, because we did have an ancient pogo randomly a few days ago, so I'm anticipating that there might be a sacred one, and I'll kind of see how that goes. But as things stand right now, my default would be no, because I prefer to be in mercy a few sacreds deep before going for a sacred pogo. As far as who we're looking for from the shards, I already kind of mentioned it, just, you know, more copies of Fenax would be nice, but if we do happen to get a legendary, I wouldn't mind Wellmaster Atharion again for the faction guardians, but I'd probably prefer to get one of my top 3, Valkyrie, Poison Exploder, or Molly Tankard. So without further ado, let's get into the pools. We've got some space, we've got the cash, and hopefully we get some pretty decent, let's say average luck when it comes to the epics. We want to hit that Fenax, hopefully 2, but again, it's probably going to be very slim pickings or slim odds just because we're only pulling 5 sacreds in this session. So 1 down, Duck the Pierced, amazing, one of the best epic debuffers in the game, decreased defense, decreased attack on a 3-turn cooldown. He's like a different variation of Stag Knight because he has decreased accuracy on the A1 instead of decreased speed, but nonetheless very, very strong. Use him in a ton of areas. Crypt Witch, I believe she was buffed fairly recently. I think I've heard that she hits relatively hard on all of her abilities, especially this one here that ignores 50% of their defense, and then she's kind of like a pseudo debuffer with the 3-hit at random. But honestly, if you need a debuffer for Night Rev, I'd probably run Thylesia instead. Sacred number 3, what are we gonna get from this one? And that is not by Fenax, Burgoth the Malformed, a previous Fragment Summon epic who is honestly just like a budget Vogoth, but way worse. Really not much to say about him. If you're going to use a champion like that, you're better off just hoping that you get Vogoth instead. And speaking of hope, we got Hope here, who I think she also got a buff fairly recently, but she increases the duration of all buffs on all allies, but it's on a 4-turn cooldown. And a lot of other epics do it on a 3-turn cooldown, so she's kind of underwhelming from that perspective. So not much to say there. And then she also has a 75% chance of removing all buffs here, but again, you probably want someone who can remove all buffs at 100% clip, so not that amazing of a champion. And I believe this is the final sacred of the session here, and it's another epic, and it is not a Fenax. So bummer, the 25x did not work. We did not get to empower him, but we did get Old Gruckus who pretty decent champion. I think more of like a progression style for sure, but heal reduction and decrease attack, but more importantly for progression to just be the decrease attack. And then he has a leech on the A1, triple hitter, so it could be good for Fire Knight. I guess heal reduction could be good for Fire Knight as well if you're working on that. And I think his aura, speed, and dungeons. Yeah, so pretty decent champion if you're trying to progress in Fire Knight for that purpose. Well, bummer. That was short and sweet, and we did not get the 25 extra proc on a Fenax. I really was hoping to at least get one, but we can come over here to the hero's path and we can start working our way down and make sure we get the 10 fragments. So the things I'm interested in the most are probably going to be the oil and the extract, so I'm probably going to focus on those two columns. I would also like the dust, but I think just having the Sand Devil Shogun's Grove products will be a little bit easier or better to get. So let's grab the Bruise, doesn't really matter which one. Let's grab the Soul Stone. That opens up all of these. Let's grab all of these down here. Then this. And first of the keys, come over here, grab this, grab that, grab the second key. There we go. Open this, grab the first set of fragments, open that, and grab the second set of fragments. And oh, looks like we have a little bit of excess, so we do indeed get the dust. Sweet. Perfect. And I guess 500, I don't know, extra bruise, doesn't really matter. Yeah, I'm going to be spending the rest of my time as much as I can running Minotaur, so I'm not going to be participating in the Dungeon Divers aspect anymore. But yeah, that is a wrap on the Fusion for me. So stay tuned to my community tab page where I'm going to be posting the summary of my supply delta for getting this Fusion, just like we always do. As I talked about in my Fusion plan video for this guy, I have absolutely no purpose for him on my account other than potentially 500 Champion Chase points in the future, or potential Faction Guardians. You never know, we might pull a dupe of him, and then that'll go into Ogre and Tribe, so that could be useful as well. But until such a day comes around, he will remain in the portal with the unsummoned. So that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comment section down below if you guys were pulling your shards as well for this Progressor Chance event or the Hero's Path. I know a lot of people are probably going to be tempted to try for a second newt. As always, if you did enjoy the video, then be sure to hit that like button down below. It really does help out the channel. And also feel free to subscribe to the channel for more content just like this one in the future. Thanks for watching and have a good one.